Hey everybody, it's been about 3 months, 3.5 months since I made a video, so I figured I should get recording again. I didn't want to make a video until I'd have something finished, and this guy was like 95% done. I'm just waiting for some parts, and now it's done. So I figured I would do a little bit of a breakdown of what I did to build this guy. I'm going to break it down into pieces, so I've got different things I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about the decals, the paint, the parts that I used, some of the stuff I scratch built, and some of the stuff I kit bashed to make this guy. No particular order there, but yeah, I'll go through each one of those main categories one by one and just tell you what I did. All right, so this engine started life as a 2002 Atlas GP38 AC CP 3008, which is I've done 3 of those now. I love those engines to start with, and that's exactly where this started. So this was red, as was his buddy over here. Same engine, actually, CP 3008. So yeah, slightly different take on it, but same starting point. So I'll show a picture of that, and you can see where it started off life. Love these engines. They have giant flywheels and they run super smooth. So really good starting point. So I guess we'll start here with parts. These are the additional parts that I applied to make this engine. Starting at the back here, we've got Canon grills here. We've got Canon fans, 1, 2, 3. And we've got a Plano Models GP38 hatch, fan hatch. We've got, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, who did the exhaust fans? There's 2 extra exhaust fans here. Those ones were, who did those? Oh, Detail Associates actually made these fans here. Or sorry, the exhaust ports. What else can I tell you? Okay, so Canon, this is a Canon GP38 hatch. On the top here, I stole this from an Athearn GP40. It's a firecracker antenna. This guy was actually from Phil's Train Layout in London, Ontario. That's the PTC antenna. And then Macrail was this yellow one here. And then I scratch built, well, I'll go over the scratch building anyway. So that's Macrail. What else did I put on here? Parts. Oh, mirrors, actually. Okay, Details West with the tiny little mirrors here. I'll show you up close if I can get in there. And then I've got parts on the rear here. I'll just show you that. Yeah, so the spare knuckle couplers, they came from Details West. And what else did? Filters. There's another one that came from Details West as well. All right, the ditch lights, okay. The ditch lights, let's go over those guys. So the ditch lights are from Junico. They're really good. The plow, I think, is Details West. It's a cast plow. It's not plastic. This is also cast metal here. The MU cable. And that was, oh, I can't remember who did that one. The sunshades were from Canon. And then the filter box on this side here is Canon as well. So the little filter box right here. All right, and then I think that's about it for parts that I applied. Okay. Oh, lift rings. I guess there's lots of lift rings on the roof. There are tons of lift rings. And they're from Plano, as well as, I can't remember who did the bag of them anyway. But yeah, lift rings, everybody knows those things. Okay, that's it for parts that I added to this thing. Quite a few. And then we'll end it there and I'll go into the next category. Okay, this next category is going to be things that I scratch built or kit bashed. So we'll start off with the metal plates here. I guess you can kind of see throughout the engine. There's one right there, and then there's a couple on the side here, I think. Yeah, there's a plate right there. And there's another plate on the back here. And there's one on the other side. So this is my sheet aluminum, the really thin stuff. It's great. Just basically glue it on and weather it up to make it look like the original. It's gives a bit of relief, 3D relief. It's pretty cool. Okay, the other one. What else do I have? Okay, on the front end here, this is very simple too. So this is just covering up the lights that were here. This is just a styrene rod cut really, really thin and sanded down really thin. So there's 2 plate covers there, welded on, I guess you'd say. I scratch built the GPS antenna and then this square antenna as well, just out of square stock, square rod. And this one's out of rod, styrene rod. And then I melted the end with a lighter here for this antenna. And the support for the antenna here is just fabricated out of the same sheet aluminum. I also built the pilot. So you can see from the metal grating here out the smooth part here. This is all styrene. Actually, this is a scratch built. This was a Canon part as well, but I scratch built the sides just to make it kind of match the shape of the original. And then there's a couple supports underneath here as well that I cut. The plow has an extra strip along here, a weld strip. That's also my sheet aluminum. And then they put these little welding plates here in the holes in the plow. There's one on each side. They're just angles basically glued on. So plow got a bit of customization as well. Kit bashed the brake housing. So this is an e-brake housing. It's not the cranker or the wheel one. So I used the actual brake mechanism, but I trimmed it down and then I put a couple plates over it and put a decal on it just to make it resemble the electronic brake. And of course there's the decal added. What else did I do? Oh yeah, kit bashed the, so this came actually, this shock here, a lot of engines actually have the 2 cylinders, one on each end of the brake, or the wheel flanges, I guess we call them, brake frame, wheel frames. But these parts came off of a Walther's SD70M, and I just kind of took away this part and then added on these parts on all four wheels. What else? Okay, custom scratch build was the waste retention tank. So that's under there. You can see it. Probably show the other side. It's got more detail. The sand lines there were all custom built. The sand lines are actually made out of resistor wire. So I bought a whole bunch of resistors. I got like 1,000 of them, and there's resistors that I'm never going to use. So I just use the wire on the side. It's really nice that it glues up beautifully and it shapes really easily. It's delicate, but nobody's ever going to touch it anyway. So I made 8 of those, and you can see them hanging down there. So that wire is really good for that. What else do I have? Oh yeah, okay, well, I kit bashed the horn actually. That's 2 Atlas horns that came off CP 3008. What I ended up doing was taking the medium and the smalls and cutting them down. I cut the one medium down, and I used one medium and one small to make the actual horn that's on this engine. Yeah, so the large one I didn't use. So there's 2 larges still remaining, but the way it's nice and solid is I drilled a hole into the actual support. Where's my thing here? I drilled a hole into the support here and drilled a hole into the end of the horn and then slid it on. So that's not going anywhere. It's not even glued. It's just friction fit. And then the horn piping is just phosphor bronze wire, and it basically goes from the cab hood all the way back. So yeah, a lot of detail on this guy. What else did I scratch here? Or kit bash, e-brake. I'll probably forget some stuff. Oh yeah. So let's go to the other side here and see what we got on this side. So the window was kit bashed as well. that was cut apart and slid. These little 3 holes right here, I don't know, they're kind of drain holes, I guess. I just drilled those in and then painted them a darker color and then used some oils to highlight them and drip them down. What else did I do? I had to kind of customize the front railing because the pilot was so much longer and wider. Oh yeah, here's the waste retention tank. So I'll just show you that one, a bit closer detail. So yeah, this is the nicer side to look at. There's more going on. Sand lines are in there as well. And I had to cut the portal into the door as well. Yeah, so there's really not 1 square millimeter of this engine I did not touch. And I think I've got everything here. Yep. Okay, so that's it for kit bashing and scratch building for this engine. Next part coming up. Okay, let's talk a bit about paint. I did not have a BNSF green or a BN green for that matter. I forget what they call it. But I ended up mixing, and this was a crazy long process. I went the wrong way first off, but I'll tell you the right way. So probably 80% this green here, which is XF15, and 15% sky blue, and about, hold on a second, 5% white. Now, that's the mintier of the 2 greens on here. There's a warmer green and there's a colder green. Now, on the other side, you may have noticed there's a bit of variation in the green, such as the green by the door here, or by the cab, in the cab. So if you want to get a bit more yellow, you add a bit more yellow. So you can see the difference in tone here. There's a bit more of a bluish tone going on here and a bit more of a yellowish tone here. And the cool part is you can do this in as many layers as you want. And actually, I would encourage you to do it in as many layers as you want, and at least 3 or 4, because that's when you start getting the depth and the variation that actually starts looking like true life fading in the sun. So yeah, these are the 3 primary colors to get the kind of colder blue. And then you can use those again, but this time add a bit of yellow. Or for this green here, you just use probably 75-25 yellow green here to get that color. And you know, as I say, you can build up the layers and build up the tones. And if you don't like it, you just go over it again. No big deal. The black was really easy. It was just X18. So that's the roof there, cab roof. Okay. And that's the base coating for everything. Obviously, there are a lot more colors on here than just green and black. Weathering wise, you know, if you want a bit of a reddish tone, you go whole red. And then I like to use rubber black and NATO brown. Those 2 mixed together just to get my darker browns and darker tones. This one actually had some orange on it as well, so I'll turn it around. Sorry. So especially if you look up front here, there's a whole world of colors going on here on the battery box. Now this little battery box took me 2 hours to paint. There's also some teal on there, if you can see that right in the sill there. There's a lot of colors on this cab, and basically just, you know, start mixing up colors to get the closest thing you can get to. A lot of taping here as well for the safety striping and everything else. But yeah, a lot of time put into this little section right here by the cab. Then the other thing I noticed when you start looking at photographs is there's a lot of what looked to be paint chipping. And these kind of yellowy orange things, I was thinking, like, was this thing a Santa Fe at one point with the blue and yellow kind of paint scheme? And this is kind of coming through the bottom. I don't know if anybody knows, but that's what I was suspecting. Anyway, these paint chips were done by putting tape on my my cutting mat and just like going around with a knife and making these weird shapes and then sticking the tape on. and I matched them pretty good according to the prototype, I think. And then I kind of used those pieces of tape on other areas of the train just to get different shapes going. So it's much more controlled, and the edges were actually hard. They weren't soft, so it was really good to use the tape and not just use the airbrush straight. But yeah, so they're all over the place, these little kind of paint chips and whatever else. And it kind of freed you up to be a bit more careless without ruining your paint job, right? Anyway, obviously some fading or some rusting on that one fan got really rusted badly, and the door obviously too. The interesting thing about this engine, while it's in Canada now, it's actively being updated with new decals and new paint. So you look at the photographs, and over a period of 18 months, this thing has changed. So right now it actually has the BN logo on this lighter green, and the door is actually painted green again now. So I guess CN's doing it for them. They're actually getting their engine back looking a bit better than when CN got it. Anyway, also in the paint, I don't know if you can see the lines between the doors here. They're kind of a bit highlighted. That was done with a dark brown Winsor & Newton water-based oil and a very, very thin brush. So what I would do is I would wet each of the door lines very carefully and then chase them down with the diluted oil, and it would just flow right through there, kind of like a panel liner, but it's not oil-based, or sorry, it's not very liquid, actually, I guess. This one you don't want to just slop on. You got to get it right in the cracks, but I think it looks really nice, highlighting everything on the side there. Very few powders on this thing. Most of it done was airbrush and oils and hand painting. So yeah, I put a lot of work into this one. The actual sunshade here, this was I think for Panzermeister, I kind of got the idea. He would dot on colors, and then it's not Panzermeister, I'm sure this has been done for hundreds of years, but you just dot on colors and then you kind of blend them and use water and mix them up. And, this must have been like 3 or 4 layers to get the actual close approximation of where the light and the dark was and where the warmth was. But again, it doesn't really matter. You just keep going over and over and over and keep adding dots until you kind of get something that looks like the prototype. So, not to worry too badly. You're not going to screw it up. Just keep going. And actually, the further you go and the more layers you put on there, the better it looks. Yeah, so that was paint, I guess. I'll finish that one there. I did obviously do some weathering on the roof, if you can see that. I'll tilt the engine there. A lot of rust in that filter box. And on the cab roof, there was some rust as well. That's all airbrushing with a couple different tones of rust: light rust, dark rust, medium rust, that kind of stuff. And then there was a smattering of rubber black on the top there, just to kind of mimic the diesel dust. So that's the paint job. Now I'll go on to the next section, which would be decals and stickers. Okay, this thing had quite a few decals on it, and from quite a few sheets actually, so I'll just go over them. So lots of microscale stuff here: 87 190, 87 1035, MC 4280, that was the automatic card. I only used 2 decals on this one, the card, ACI plates. And then from Smokebox, I used locomotive data 2010 plus. So just to give you a quick glance of these guys here. Because this engine is so old and has so much history, it's got 1970, 1995, and 1997 plus decals on it. So you got to buy 2 sheets. And then there's the ACI plates. And then obviously a smattering of all these things all over all the engines. One thing I wanted to mention was Teresa from Microscale. She's awesome. I only had 2 8s on the one sheet, and I screwed up this 8 here. I was trying to move it, and it totally disintegrated. And I was like, bugger, now I got to buy a whole new sheet. And you know what I said? I'm going to contact Microscale and see what they can do about that. And Teresa there was ever so kind, and she sent me a whole new sheet for free. And they really, really went above and beyond. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I have probably about 50 microscale sheets, and I will be buying a lot more in future. In fact, I just bought 3 more this week. So special thank you to Teresa. You did a great job, and I hope all the other modelers will, buy from you guys, because you guys are fantastic customer service. Love you guys. Thank you very much. And by the way, this is the finished model. Thank you for helping me finish it. Okay, so obviously decals all over the place. What you see on this side is safety striping. You guys can buy rolls of this, no problem. So this is all this yellow, but I did go over and paint these guys here. They've been faded down. It's just a whitewash, just using, Tamiya paint. Go over it, really thin wash, and it kind of fades the yellow, makes it look like that safety striping's been there for a long time. Yeah, so anyway, that is the engine. So it you'll be seeing it running with its buddy here. The cool part was when I installed the software on the decoder, the sound file on the decoder, I matched the braking and speed settings with this guy, and I came downstairs, and I guess because they're both Atlas engines and they're both from the same vintage, they run beautifully together. And I put different sound files on each one, so they kind of harmonize. They sound great, the two of them together. So stay tuned. In future, I'll be running them together, and you'll see that. And I guess before you go, I've just given these guys a little something to pull here. So I've been working on a few things, a few bits of rolling stock, which I haven't done for probably a year. I haven't worked on rolling stock. So what I'm doing is I had 4 of these guys, and they're really beautiful cars. They're from Scale Trains, really good detail. But then I started looking at Canadian Pacific, specifically the car numbers, and that was to weather them properly. And they don't, I guess CP must have sold them all. And so I started looking around at who they sold them to. And so this is the original. I'll leave that guy there. And I found that the same car type was in CSX. Now I don't know if the CSX one came from CP, but I think the CIGX ones did. And so this is the photograph I have inside my steel transfer facility. So I'm doing this car, and this one's, I got to do all the decaling and the weathering on that one. And then I found this one too. I thought it was really cool. So this one's definitely an XCP one. And this one, I got to do all the decaling, and I'm almost done this one. So I'm going to have 4 kind of unique cars that, and I think, what am I stuck on here? This one's going to be a CG-LX, which is a black one. That's going to be black, all black. And then, of course, I got my other Scale Trains one here. And then I got a couple Atlas ones I'm going to do. So I think I got about 8 coil cars altogether. They're all going to be weathered up and kind of made to look a bit matching some kind of prototype. Anyway, one thing I will say is before you paint these things, you got to get the etching off. And just use a sharp blade like a hobby knife and get in there and pry it up gently. And they come off beautifully. They're only glued in about 5 locations. And I think the end ones are the hardest ones. The side rails come off quite easily. And I fasten them back down with canopy glue. It's really good to get them back down. Do not use crazy glue or CA. Don't use CA. Whew. Yeah, just use canopy glue to get them back down. Okay, anyway, that's all for me. Today was kind of a cool day. I got a new bike, so I've been assembling that. And the reason why I wasn't around very much was because I've been riding my bike like a madman all summer, and it was good. So I guess the weather's starting to pack in a little bit, but I probably will be riding all the way up through January if I can manage it. But in the meantime, I will be squeezing in a bit more of these things to show you guys. So probably next up will be a little bit of an op session for you guys. Anyway, that's what I've been working on. Apologies for some of you guys who've been waiting for a video. I didn't want to post anything unless I was feeling it, and I'm starting to feel it again. So I've got a couple more engines I'm going to finish up, some of those CN stripe ones. they were going to be a difficult paint job. I've seen a couple come out from Wade and Rob, and you know, I think it's my turn to try one of those. So I've got 2 upstairs I'm going to do, and I'll show you them next when I get them done. Anyway, take care, everyone. Happy Halloween, and yeah, I'll post again soon.